My heart is beating outside of my chest. Even the thought of speaking these words out loud, still after all of these years, so I feel like it's time, and I know that I am ready on one level, even though my body's having a reaction. It still has such powerful effect over me. So I want to share my pretty little secret. I have herpes. Such a simple little sentence, 3 little words. It's so hard for me to say. For a long time, I didn't even call it that. I couldn't even say the words herpes. I would call it X. I would write in my journal, X, X everywhere, X, mark the spot. I don't know why. I know why. The word was disgusting to me at the time. I felt dirty. I felt ashamed. Yeah, that word was really hard to hear. It was hard to accept. I was 21 at the time. Pre my diagnosis, I'd been in my first and only loving relationship with someone for a long time. I waited for over a year. So I was, had felt like a good girl, and then I'd had travelled overseas and some summer romances, and that's when I got the herpes from someone. I felt like it was so unfair that I had been so careful, and I had taken precautions, and I didn't feel like this should happen to me. I was so young. Now I can look at it and see that my reaction was as if I had a death sentence. And I can see it and put it in perspective and know that it hasn't ruined my life. But at the time, as a young woman, I certainly felt like that this was going to ruin my life. How would I ever tell a partner? How would I ever have a healthy, loving relationship? Who would want to be with somebody? All of those questions that I think a lot of people go through when they have experienced anything that has some kind of stigma attached to it. It was heartbreaking to me. I felt violated, and at the time, I remember thinking, when I interview people now and I ask them about their different adversities and struggles, the one question I ask is, what did you feel was taken from you? And for me, I felt like my freedom was taken, my youth, because, I wasn't free to just meet people and have fun in relationships and get to know someone and, yeah, it took away the joy of meeting someone and getting to know them and finding out if it would go somewhere. And it didn't take that away. Now I know I did, because that's how I reacted to it, and the hold it had over me. I allowed that to happen. But you know, and all of a sudden I woke up, I'm 38 now, and I'm single. And so I can see that it's held that over me for a very long time when it comes to relationships, that, you know, I struggle because it plays on your mind. The minute you meet someone, you start going through, you know, when am I going to tell them? How am I going to tell them? All of those questions. And I've got a lot better at dealing with it. And I've had some amazing partners who've been very accepting and have thankfully never been contracted it, because I can manage it now. But, you know, it's something that's always there for you, and you always have to think about. So, you know, when people ask me why I started my talk show, Kirsty TV, I have never been able to really answer that truthfully, because up until now I haven't shared my own pretty little secret. But why I started it was so that when people are going through anything like this, or their own adversity, because that's what life's about, we all get some kind of adversity, whether it's losing a child, or not being able to get pregnant, or having an eating disorder, or being raped, you know, or finding out, like my guest today, Ken, who was diagnosed with HIV at just 26. And, you know, he really brought all this up for me, obviously, with the stigma of an STD, and has made me feel like, you know, it's the time for me to record this video. But with all of my guests, everyone has sat there and felt like you're the only one. And sorry, this is going to be one of those Oprah calls it the ugly cry. But everyone has sat there and felt alone, and everyone has wondered if they're the only one, and if anyone else knows what this feels like. And about 5 or 6 years ago, a counsellor who knew a friend of mine who knew what I had been through said to me, you know, she'd met a young lady who had been diagnosed with herpes, and she was suicidal, and she wondered if I would talk to her anonymously on the phone. And when I spoke to this lady, I felt like I was speaking to my 21-year-old self, and saying all the things that I wished that someone had said to me, or that I had known. And that was really the seed that started this idea for this show. It planted this seed for me, that I wanted to create something for others where you could hear from someone else who trod that path before you and been through it, what it was like, that you could, you know, feel like you were less alone, and you were not the only one, because there are so many. And I now know that, you know, now 1 in 3 people have an eating disorder, I think it is. The statistics change all the time, but 1 in 5 are suicidal, 1 in 3 have been abused. I think it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 8 have herpes. So we are never alone. There are so many people going through whatever it is that you're going through, and that was really why I started the show. I wanted to interview people who would tell their stories and share what had once been a dirty little secret that held guilt and shame for them, and they were not able to share that. And in not sharing it, you hide who you are, and you carry that that feeling of being dirty or guilty or shameful in some way when you're not able to talk about it. And not everyone has to talk about it as publicly as this, but on some level you have to be able to open up and share with partners, friends or family. And so, you know, I just really wanted to create a community and a place where people could find other people who were willing to share, so that they could heal themselves and heal others. And I truly believe that when we share our story, we heal ourselves and we heal others. And that's what's happened for me. You know, I have been able to get to a place where it is not a dirty little secret anymore, and it is a pretty little secret where I feel like I can share who I am, and it hasn't made me any less in any way. I am beautiful, and I am loved, and I am lovable, and I'm loving, and you know, I have the most incredible life, the most incredible family, the most incredible friends. And that's what I would tell my 21-year-old self, that everything's going to be okay. And you are going to be able to have relationships, and you are going to be able to be loved, and that it will be okay. So I say to all of you who have some kind of secret, that I hope that you will find peace and find a way to get to a place where it's your pretty little secret, and share your little pretty secret with us. So thank you, and it's as soon as I click send, it's going to be done, but it really is time. It's time. Because when we hide our secrets, we isolate ourselves from information, from people, from community, from connection. And we make that secret grow. It manifests bigger and larger than it could possibly ever be. So I started sharing